Dal Tadka. It might just be one of the world's most loved comfort foods, and it certainly is in this household. Today I'm going to finish my Dal Tadka with the Dhungar method to make it delicious and smoky. And of course, we're going to need some garlic naan to eat it with. So first up, we're going to need to get our split peas cooking, or pigeon peas, sorry. So these are split yellow pigeon peas called Toor Dal. You should better get it in most supermarkets now. They take a while to cook. I like to do it in a pressure cooker. I think most people would do it in a pressure cooker. If you don't have a pressure cooker, you can just do it in a pot. It'll just take a while. So you're gonna add 200 grams of those to there. Maybe, I don't know why, but a few more for good luck. Water, big pinch of salt, and about 1/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric. Not too much, stuff's pretty potent. Lid on. One day I'll get that right. High pressure, we're gonna bring it up to steaming point, 8 minutes once it's making that whistling noise. While we're doing that, let's start getting our naan ready, or the dough for our naan. Plain flour, little well on the center, water, warm water, like 32, 33 degrees-ish. A little bit of oil, like a tablespoon, I guess. Sugar, yeast, yogurt, about 3 heaped tablespoons. It's a very accurate measurement, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, one for the chef. Pinch of salt. Just gonna bring the dough together, turn it out onto the bench, and we'll knead it until it's nice and smooth. Now that thing's started making a hissing sound like a wild cat, you can turn it down. You want this steam to come out. That means you know that it's at the right pressure, but it doesn't need to be ripping its head off. Ripping its head off. Such an aggressive way to say that, isn't it? I need my scraper. Now that dough's come together and there's nothing left in the bowl, onto a bench, a little bit of flour, just to stop it from sticking. You don't want too much. I'm just gonna knead this until it's nice and smooth. You can also do this in a stand mixer with the hook as well, but you got 8 minutes while your lentils are cooking. All right, that dal's been cooking for almost 8 minutes now. I'm gonna turn the heat off in a second and release the pressure, and this dough is nice and smooth, which is exactly what we want. Nice smooth dough, form it into a ball, so it's got some tension on the outside, back into a bowl. Cover it with a tea towel, and we're gonna rest it for half an hour, just for that yeast to start doing its thing. I like to rest mine in the oven. The oven's not on, it's just a nice draft-free area. This is done, heat off, release the pressure. This is neutralized to the pressure. Let's open this thing up, have a look. Oh yeah, look at that. Nicely cooked, but there's still a little bit watery. It's exactly what we're after. Make sure that they are actually cooked. I think a lot of people have dal at different textures. Some people like it quite soupy. Some people like it still a bit of chunky. Yeah, I'm kind of like somewhere like a medium, I guess. I like a little bit of texture, but I also kind of aren't into like the really dry dals. I like it nice and wet. That's good to go. Let's set that aside. Let that just chill out. Fresh pot, you'll need the lid for. Medium heat, add some ghee. I'm gonna add our dry spices. So we've got some cumin seeds, coriander seeds, and a couple of cloves. Cloves are strong, so don't go too crazy. Now these spices will stay in this all the way through. Some people don't really like it. They don't like eating a spice. I don't mind, it doesn't bother me, but it's kind of a tricky way to do it. You kind of can take these out once they're toasted and put them on like a little piece of cheesecloth so that you can pull them out. But, you know, just eat a little bit of spice. The cloves can get a bit gnarly, but while they're toasting, chop up the rest of our aromats. We've got garlic, ginger, red onion, a couple of these really nice green chilies, and a couple of tomatoes. So you want about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. These things are massive, so I'm just gonna use 3. About a thumb-sized piece of ginger. Just cut off the big knobbly bits and then peel it with the back of a spoon or the back of a knife, up to you. Then I'm just gonna use a microplane to grate these down. Oh, and just quickly, did you watch last week's video and you're not subscribed? Then do me a favor and then just tap that subscribe button. Thanks. Woo! Garlic and ginger. And that goes. Just want to saute that down like a low temperature. We don't want it to burn. Oh, it smells good, doesn't it? So then just 1 red onion. We're just gonna finely dice this up. Add that to our pan. If it's looking a bit dry, like mine is, add some more ghee. All right, just gonna chop these green chilies. In they go. We're definitely gonna add more Kashmiri chili powder. So if you like it spicy, I suggest you try and find that heat from the Kashmiri chili powder rather than the fresh chilies. I think you'll find a better kind of drier heat effectively. And then we're just gonna dice these tomatoes. They're gonna cook down fairly well, so I wouldn't be too pedantic about it. and in they go. If you got any little bits of fond on the bottom, make sure you're scraping that off. The liquid from the tomatoes will help that come off as well. I'm gonna cook these tomatoes for about 5 or 6 minutes, just until they start to soften. Okay, these have only been cooking for about 2 minutes and they're already starting to dry out, and you really wanna make sure the tomatoes are cooked. So just add a bit of water to that so that they've got a chance to cook before all the water evaporates. All right, our tomatoes are nicely cooked. We're gonna add some salt, our dry spices. So this is where you can really turn the heat up if you want. Some Kashmiri chili powder, garam masala, and some coriander powder. Stir that through, and then we're gonna add our dal. Make sure you get them all out. All right, stir that through well. We're gonna simmer this on like a low heat for about 30 minutes. And then we just need to make the tadka, which is like the infused ghee that you pour on the top as the garnish. So let that do its thing for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Keep an eye on it. If it's starting to get too dry, add a bit of water. All right, roll out our naan. Woo! Look at that little smooth boy. That was aggressive. Probably not need to be that aggressive. Cut your dough up. You can weigh it out and be really particular about it, or you can just eyeball it. I'm eyeballing. That one's bigger than that one. Cool. Roll it into tight ball, like so. Now I've got a dry pan over a medium heat. We want to heat that up. We're gonna try a method of cooking these where we stick it to the bottom and then flip it over and get a bit of heat. I've done a whole short on different ways to cook naan. You can do it on a barbecue, you can do it in a cast iron pan on one side, you can do it in a pizza oven, works really well, but I think this is kind of the easiest way to get as close as you can with the average domestic kitchen. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this piece of dough and I'm just folding it in on itself 5 or 6 times and pinching the bottom, and I'm putting it between my thumb and my index finger and pushing it through, and that creates good tension on the top and it closes the bottom, very similar to what you do for a pizza dough ball. So fold it in, fold it in, fold it in, push it through. On the board, hinge your hand like a cup. So we're gonna use oil on our board for this. Stretch it out. You don't want too much oil, so if you feel like the dough's a bit oily, just put it on a new part of the board.
Chef, my chopping board isn't 3 meters wide.
That's a fair point, mature. A little bit of crushed garlic, just spread it out, and then a little bit of chopped coriander. We'll just press in there. Okay, got the pan, which is reasonably hot. In it goes, and press it into it. We kind of want this to stick to the... Now the plan is to flip this whole pan, and we're going to get some color on the top from the open flame. For that to happen, the naan needs to have stuck to the pan. So if it doesn't, and it falls onto the flame, we'll quickly lift it off, it'll be fine. But let's have it a go. Might get that flame up a bit. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Yes, that's what we're looking for. That's it. Pretty happy with that. Nice bubbled up. Turn the heat off. Just gonna brush a little bit of ghee on here. Pretty happy with that. I'd like a bit more even color, a bit more char around this edge, but overall, I'm gonna call that a success. I probably shouldn't have said that because I haven't taken another pan yet. Ah, we're good. We're golden. Onto a plate with a towel and just keep that covered. Continue cooking the rest. Well, at least we got one in the bag. What to do if it doesn't stick and it falls on the element like mine just did? Grab a couple of thin pairs of tongs and do it like this. Naan's made, our dal's made. Now we gotta smoke it using the Dhungar method. So I've got some charcoal, I've heated up over an open flame, and I've got a little metal dish in there. You might have a window open or an extraction on for this one because it will get smoky. In your charcoal goes. Okay, I got my charcoal in there, it's ripping hot. Gonna have a lid nice and handy. Time to add some melted ghee and then cover it up. We're gonna let that sit for 5 minutes. For the tadka, this is very confusing. Tadka, Dhungar. The tadka is basically it's effectively like an infused oil is the best way to describe it, that we're gonna garnish the top of it with. So you really want a small pot, as small as you've got. This is probably too big to be perfectly honest, but so be it. Ghee into the pot, we're gonna let that melt right down. It's one of those things that you can kind of infuse with whatever you want really, spices wise anyway. So to that, I'm gonna add some dried chilies just to infuse. A little bit of coriander powder. And right in the last second, we're gonna add some chili powder. You want that nice color. All right, this has been steeping for 5 minutes. Oh, look at that. How cool does that look? Take our charcoal out, pour over our tadka. Stir that through. A little bit more for good luck. Just a little bit of chopped coriander to garnish. Right, I'm just gonna find a little bowl, serve some up and taste it because I can't wait to eat this. All right, pretty excited to eat this. Some naan. It really is absolutely delicious. Fragrant, spicy, all those little elements, the tadka at the end, the slight smokiness is definitely a warm hug. Yum. Thank you, legends, so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for another recipe. Peace. Mm-mm-mm.